Welcome back to the Bad Influence Podcast, Relationship Wednesday, where we tell you the truth about relationships. I'm the bad influence that you need in your life. Yours truly, Jordan Banderas. And listen up. Taking responsibility saved my relationship from a blow-up breakup. So today, I'm telling you how accountability and forgiveness can flip your entire love life from chaos to rock solid connection, which, in my opinion, it's what every relationship should have, that rock solid connection. One of the things that I have observed is that we live in this world, in this society that idolizes pride and stubbornness. So it's easy to believe that apologizing or forgiving is for the weak. But that's total bullshit. Because accountability and forgiveness are the twin pillars of any powerful relationship, any friendship, any romance, any family, you name it. You have to have that in order for those connections to thrive. So, are you ready to learn how? Let's get into it. Because one of the problems that I have also observed, and I have done it myself, is that we all screw up, right? We're human. We make mistakes. We all screw up at one point in our lives. Big or small, intentional or accidental. We always make mistakes. But hiding from mistakes or doubling down on blame is a fast track to destroying trust. But accountability is your lifeline here. And it's time you grab it. Ask yourself, am I more focused on being right or being truly connected? Which is pretty much the part that matters in relationships, right? And let that question burn into your subconscious. If your ego right now is screaming after you ask yourself that question, good. That means we're on the right track to real change, which I bet that's what you want, right? Now, people think an apology means losing power, but that's wrong. Refusing to own up is the quickest way to lose what really matters. Genuine closeness, respect, and emotional safety in a relationship. Now is the time to wake up. I remember a raging argument that almost ended my marriage. Pride had me clinging to my rightness. But then something clicked. I was more afraid of losing my wife than losing my pride. I was like, fuck pride. And in that moment, I admitted I was wrong. No excuses. The look in my wife's eyes was pure relief. She was like, oh my gosh, he finally gets it. He's not stubborn. He's not prideful. He finally understands me. So instead of ending in a divorce, we broke through to deeper trust. And my relationship became better. I realized accountability isn't weakness. It's the fuel that powers real intimacy. Forgiving isn't about laying someone off the hook. It's about freeing yourself from resentment and letting the relationship grow. It's a space making for empathy, understanding, and healthier communication. Some believe, and I don't understand where people get this. When I believe this bullshit, it was because of what I heard from others. But a lot of people are starting to believe some crazy shit. And some believe apologizing puts you at a disadvantage. But in truth, owning your mistakes takes courage, not weakness. For someone to say, you know what? I fucked up. I'm in the wrong. I made a mistake. That shows that you're courageous to admit you're in the wrong. It shows you value the relationship more than your bruised ego, which is important in any relationship. You can tell whoever told you otherwise that they can fuck off. Because there's a lot of gurus out there on social media, particularly Instagram, and same thing on TikTok, that say, like, don't apologize to your wife. If you cheated, it's because you're a man and you can cheat and you can do all of this bullshit. But then those same people that follow those gurus end up breaking up because the other person decides to not take their bullshit. And then it creates a bigger problem, right? Now, forgiveness doesn't erase the past. It reframes it. You acknowledge the hurt and choose to move forward without the weight of resentment, because resentment is going to kill any relationship, and that's the truth. And when you do this, that's emotional power right there. When you get rid of the resentment, when you move forward after forgiving, that's such a powerful move. The other problem that I have seen is that we live in a culture that rewards winning at all costs. No matter the situation, you always have to win. And that's cute until it ruins your relationship. Real winners know when to drop the act, embrace vulnerability, and aim for genuine connections instead. Refusal to apologize or forgive turns small issues into ticking time bombs. And probably you have dealt with this, where something happened weeks ago, months ago, sometimes even years ago. You do something, let's say today, and your partner brings up something that happened, again, weeks, days, months, years ago. And you're like, what the hell? That has nothing to do with this situation, but that's the resentment building up. And one tiny misunderstanding festers. It festers, leading to emotional walls so high you can't see each other anymore. Avoidance fosters blame, hostility, and shallow interactions. And before you know it, you're just roommates in a cold war, tiptoeing around landmines, which that's not how your relationship should be, because that's not how my relationship is anymore. And I'm telling you, if you do this, you're going to be able to create the relationship you want. When you don't have the relationship you want, it's a miserable existence. When you let your pride get in the way and refuse to apologize or to forgive, your relationship becomes a miserable part of your life. And don't let it become yours. Don't let this bullshit become your relationship. Because over time, these unresolved grudges corrode trust. It doesn't matter how much love you started with. The relationship is doomed if accountability and forgiveness remain absent, because you're going to make mistakes. And either your partner has to learn how to forgive, and you also have to learn how to fucking move on. And you also have to learn how to say, hey, I made a mistake. I overspent too much money, right? It happens. I once nearly lost a close friend over a series of misunderstandings. We both retreated into self-righteousness silences, ignoring the tension. Everything was on the line. Finally, I swallowed my pride and admitted my faults. Words were not enough. I showed consistent effort to change, which is important. If you want to do something like this in your relationship, you have to learn, or you have to actually put in the effort that shows that you're willing to change. Now, that friend is still in my life today. It's stronger than ever. So, what I'm telling you works. Apology isn't the end. I just want you to understand that. An apology isn't the end. It's the start of rebuilding. Holding on to anger drained me. When I forgave his faults, it felt like a weight was lifted. Forgiveness gave me emotional freedom, a space for new memories, and a healthier dynamic. Accountability is the foundation of trust. No accountability, no credibility. That's how I see it. And honestly, it's true. Similarly, forgiveness cements that trust, demonstrating you're both willing to move forward, not stay stuck in old grudges, because old grudges literally kill your soul if you look at it from a different perspective, right? And apologizing with sincerity and forgiving with grace requires emotional maturity. And this is important because if you don't become emotionally mature, you're going to make more mistakes than ever. And then you're not going to realize that you are part of the problem. You literally become a little kid. Like you're 5 years old, like, I didn't know, I made a mistake again and again and again, but it's not my fault. And it happens. You want to know how I know it happens? Because my brother is like that. Now, when you're emotionally mature, it shows you can manage your own emotions and empathize with someone else's, which is important in any relationship. That's high level human connection. And if you're going to marry somebody, or if you've been spending a lot of time with somebody, you need that high level human connection, right? Especially if you're looking into the future with that person. And look, mistakes are inevitable. They will happen. We are human. Accountability and forgiveness lets you bounce back stronger, turning each setback into a lesson rather than a death sentence. Couples who dodge accountability create an environment of fear and resentment. I've seen this with other couples that I know. Because they don't take responsibility, they don't take accountability. It's just a screaming match of it's your fault, no, it's your fault, no, it's your fault, no, you're mean, no, you're this, no, you're that. And that all becomes an anthem. And love suffocates under blame. In healthy relationships, each person owns their part. Conflicts become dialogues, not battles. Growth becomes the focus rather than who's right, which is extremely important. And that's a sweet spot. Accountability provides emotional safety. It's easier to be vulnerable, to admit mistakes, and to forgive when you know the other person will meet you halfway with respect and understanding. So if you want to do this, if you want to learn how to do this, one of the best things that I can tell you is pause before you react. Ask, what's my role in this conflict? Don't just point fingers. Understanding your contribution to the problem is half the battle, because a lot of the times, especially with men, at least in my case, sometimes we don't pay attention to what we say or what we do, especially when you're not emotionally stable. Like I've did so many times. I said things that I shouldn't have said. Not rude things, it just came out rude because of the translation. I did things that was just like, well, I did when I was single. Why can I not do it now? I'm not talking about cheating or anything like that. It was just like spending money. So that's what happens. And if you messed up, say it. No hemming, no hawing. You can just say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. And here's how I'll make it right. That's the gold standard of accountability. Mean it. Because resentment is emotional poison. Let it go. If they sincerely apologize, embrace forgiveness to break the cycle of bitterness. And if they don't apologize, consider letting go for your own mental well-being. Because if they're not willing to apologize, if they're not willing to admit they're wrong, do you think that at one point in the future, they might change. Most of the time, I will tell you this, 95% of the time that I have seen this, the other person doesn't change. Something has to happen for them to change. Kind of like what happened between me and my wife. She got sick. I was like, oh, fuck, I don't want to lose my wife. Same thing with the argument that we had that I explained before. Oh, shit. We had this argument. I'm part of the problem. I messed up and I'm sorry. So, one thing that you can do also is schedule regular check-ins. Yes, literally. Ask, how are we doing? Any lingering issues? This proactive approach tackles problems before they become relationship cancer. Listen without interrupting. Reflect back on what you heard. This approach deepens connections and reduces misunderstandings. Empathy is your secret weapon here. Another thing that you can try, and this is something that I do, is try the 4 R's. Recognize the issue, reflect on your part, repair with an apology or forgiveness, and reinforce by following through with consistent changes. Simple framework, powerful results. Write down your frustrations. You'll gain clarity on where you might be at fault and whether you're clinging to unnecessary grudges. A written record helps you approach disagreements calmly. Oh, yes, they do. Owning up and forgiving is like releasing a fart that has been lingering and building up for a while after having Taco Bell. If you don't know what I'm talking about, probably you never had the shitty version of Taco Bell. What happens is that the tension drains away, leaving room for genuine connection. Stress goes down, positivity goes up. Each time you navigate conflict with accountability and forgiveness, guess what happens? Your bond deepens. You learn to trust each other's intentions and commitment to grow. Picture a family feud that's lasted years. One person steps up and says, I messed up and I'm sorry. Another says, I forgive you. Suddenly, decades of bitterness start to thaw, right? They start to literally melt. The ice starts to melt. There's this warmness where now you can talk to each other and you can become a family again, friends, wherever, right? That's the power we're talking about. And look, pride might feel good in the moment, but it will leave you lonely in the long run. So apologize, forgive. These are not just words, they're commitments to building the relationship you claim to want. So starting today, pick one person, just one person, that you need to apologize to. Do it. No delay. And this includes your partner. Then pick one grudge you're holding and then release it. Just let it go, release it. Move forward. You have nothing to lose but your resentment and everything to gain in connection. And when you do this, you might see changes right away, like small changes, and you may think, that's not enough. But if you keep doing the work, if you keep doing what you're supposed to do, like taking accountability, learning to forgive and move forward, your relationship will become something that you have never experienced before. You guys are going to have this type of connection that makes you say like, wow, this is what I wanted a long time ago when we got together. This is what I wanted in my friendships. This is what I wanted in my relationship. This is what I wanted in my marriage. And then you're going to start enjoying your partner, your friends, and life itself, because you're going to feel that you're not alone anymore. And that's it for today. Share this episode with someone who needs a wake-up call about the power of accountability and forgiveness. Let's make it viral. Let's build relationships that are not ruined by ego, but fortified by openness. Enough excuses. Take that first step now and watch your relationships transform before your eyes. And remember, the choice is yours.